TomJohnson, everybody.
Thank you, thank you. I recently met a young woman. We started to become friends. We were getting along pretty well, and started realizing I was more attracted to her than I thought. And so finally I got up the nerve and I asked her out, and she said, well, I would, but I'm a lesbian. And I thought for a minute, well, okay. But does this really have to be a deal breaker? So I said to her, you know, we might have a little more in common than you thought, because actually I'm half woman. My mother is a full-blooded woman. Worth a try, huh? Didn't work out, but so I did what any single red-blooded Portland male would do. I walked in the next 30 yards to the nearest strip bar, which you can do from any point in the city, and there, well, my romantic dreams were not really realized either, but I did have some interesting experiences I'd like to share. First of all, I met 4 different strippers, all who had the same stripper name, Madison, which seems to be very popular among women in that profession. But one of them was named after the 4th president, one was named after the river in Yellowstone National Park, one was named after the city in Wisconsin, and the other was named after the mermaid in Splash. So, there's variety even in sameness. And that's probably the only stripper name that would be a river in Yellowstone National Park, because the other main rivers besides the Yellowstone River are the Gibbon and the Fire Hole. There are a number of president names that are popular among strippers. Madison is number 1. You get some Monroe occasionally, and Kennedy. Not so much Polk or Fillmore, and a little obscure president. Though I'm told that Bush is coming back into style. The other fascinating thing that happened, and delightful, and this is absolutely true, these things just write themselves, is that the DJ at one point, the strip club DJ said, "Ladies and gentlemen, that's Jane on the backstage and Austen on the front stage. Isn't there a Jane Austen?" This is the least literary crowd I'd ever experienced. Dead silence. But you don't have to read books to know that Jane Austen is now, as evidenced by that DJ, the most prolific author who ever died 150 years ago. Her work has permeated all facets of popular culture. They make Jane Austen movies and remakes of movies. They adapt her books and add modern twists to them all the time. And she's the most published screenwriter of the last 20 years. So I'm working on 2 treatments for Jane Austen-inspired movies, and I want to run them by you. And one of them, a pretty and rich young lady makes fun of crippled people until she fractures her ankle and is similarly mocked. And it's titled Dis and Disability. And the other one... The other one concerns a clever and resourceful young woman who loses her fortune and then is shipwrecked on a desert island with a handsome young gentleman named Edward, whom she must decide whether to kill and eat. And that one's called Ed and Edibility. I think one or both of those is going to go. And it occurs to me more and more, our culture, our society, sends a lot of mixed signals when it comes to matters of romance and relationships. For example, together you and I easily, probably within a couple of minutes, could name off 50 very popular books, TV shows, and movies that are romantic stories in which one of the partners is either a prostitute or dead. You know, a vampire or a vampire werewolf or dead or a ghost or something, and either a prostitute or dead. And yet, it is illegal for me to have sex with a member of either of those groups. That's hypocrisy. We live in a hypocrisy. You guys are a wonderful crowd. Thank you all, by the way, for coming here. Look at all of you. It's a huge crowd. Give yourselves a hand. Give yourselves a hand. And it's exhilarating. It's fun and it's exhilarating to be on a stage with a group like you. And a lot of stand-ups will tell you, they will talk about stand-up comedy and say, man, it's like a drug. It's like a drug. We say that in our culture about a lot of exhilarated and risky endeavors, which I think is more evidence for how fucked up our culture is. Like rock climbing, it's like a drug, man. You're up there on that sheer rock face, it's exactly like sitting in a burned out abandoned building with a dirty needle jammed into your arm. It's like a drug. Skydiving, it's like a drug. You step out of that plane and it's just like washing down a handful of Vicodin with bottom shelf scotch. And when you hit the ground, it's like you woke up in the gutter. Thank you.